Jessica planned to return to her car and drive away, but when she got outside, the car and her kids were gone. After the protest ended after 1 a.m. and between the time we got here about 4 a.m., things were largely cleaned up. As you joined us earlier in the 6 o'clock hour, there was still a ton of garbage here around Jefferson Square Park, but just moments ago, actually, people have been cleaning up. An officer told me this morning cars started lining up around 6 a.m. just to ensure that they get tested. They're being held in this lot right here, and then they'll go into the testing center. You can see all the way down this street. Cars aren't even in the parking lot yet. At 8:30 Saturday morning, police were called to this construction site where Robert Bailey was found injured. But he got those injuries from an assault a little over 3 miles away at a home here on Delk Road. Being chosen for College Game Day is a pretty big deal. I found that out when it came to my school when I was in college, and my friends told me we gotta wake up at 5 a.m. and be out there to make sure you get a good spot in the crowd. This used to be a building to house tuberculosis patients, but now it's a place where people come to seek the paranormal. We are actually watching the horses warm up right now. Unfortunately, we can't be inside, but it's all part of these safety precautions. Christmas Day typically isn't a big travel day itself, but the days before have seen fewer travelers this year than in years past. Packing boxes and moving can be stressful, so you might want to hire some help. But is it the safest idea during a pandemic? Good strength exercises. You can still be working with, an item. You can make this backpack as full as you want. Now, giving blood is safe during this pandemic. There's been a backlog in terms of spaying and neutering just because vets are so busy during the pandemic. The owner of Meta, Jeremy Johnson, does not want to shut down his bar. He's afraid if he did, he would never be able to open it back up again. But he's hoping if all bars and restaurants closed, they could together take strides to stop the spread of COVID-19. But not everyone is in agreement, including one bar and restaurant owner just down the street.
I think that we're clearly in a situation where the cases are spiraling out of control.
Every day, Meta owner Jeremy Johnson says 10 or 15 people come into his bar without a mask on.
And I have to say, hey, can you please put a mask on?
So he tweeted to Governor Andy Beshear, asking him to shut down bars and restaurants. Some people responded saying he's welcome to close his own business, but didn't see why everyone should close. Johnson's response was that just closing his bar wouldn't help with the overall goal.
Everyone closing will stop the spread of the virus. It will put us all on the same page where we can actually hopefully get help.
But just feet away, down Chestnut Street, the owner of the Limbo Tiki Bar and Riot Cafe isn't on the same page.
So long as all safety standards are followed, there's no reason for bars and restaurants to shut down again.
Olivia Griffin says another shutdown would be devastating for bars and restaurants, who she says are already being very safe and following strict guidelines.
The other problem with just lost revenue when you shut down as a bar restaurant is you lose the momentum that you had gained with people knowing you're open again.
Johnson knows there are people who disagree with him, but he's hoping people will look at the bigger picture.
We're in a situation where health and common sense is a lot more important than this week's bottom line.
I also spoke with the president and CEO of the Kentucky Restaurants Association. She told me that restaurant owners and chefs that she's spoken to want to make their own decisions about whether they stay open or not. For WHAS 11 News, I'm Rose McBride. It's 6 a.m. The sun isn't out, but students are. Their walk to the bus stop is only lit by street lights and the flashing lights of the bus coming down the street.
A little bit more time, it would be better for us.
Middle and high school students start class at 7:40 a.m. Sherry Offit drives her daughter to Central High School so she doesn't have to wait at the bus stop in the dark. But still, Offit thinks a later start time would be beneficial.
Sometimes I'm running a little bit late, I won't lie. So it would be easy if I had a little bit, maybe like 10, 15 more minutes. That would be better for me.
At last week's State of the District, Dr. Marty Polio proposed moving the start time back for middle and high school students.
The earlier the start times, the more negatively it can impact student attendance and student achievement.
Right now, middle and high school students start at 7:40, while elementary starts at 9. Dr. Polio has a goal that no students start before 8 a.m. One option he mentioned is adding a third start time, so students could start at 8, 8:45, and 9:30. but he did acknowledge adjusting the times will be complicated.
There's no way not to impact the entire system, and especially it's a puzzle.
Even with the positives a later start time would bring, some parents aren't so sure this would be the best option, preferring to stick to the status quo.
I would sort of interrupt my schedule, actually, because I get off work, then I come and take her to school.
Polio says if the time is changed, the earliest it will happen is the 2021-2022 school year. So in 2 years, students could be seeing more sunlight on the way to school. In Louisville, Rose McBride, WHAS 11 News. If you're looking for a bargain, Outreach Thrift Shop in Shepherdsville has got you covered. But if you're looking for a treasure, you might just find one there too.
I thought this was not intended to be donated. I couldn't imagine anyone tried to get rid of this.
This was a wedding album from the 1960s that Missy Lotes found while browsing the shop one day. She picked it up and saw beautiful black and white photos, so she bought it with the goal of finding its owner.
They sold it to me for 10 cents, so I went out to the parking lot, sat down in my truck, and took snapshots of several iconic pictures in there.
Lotes posted the photos to a few Facebook groups, and soon enough,
I had contact with the family within 4 hours.
That post led her to Valerie Jones, the daughter of the couple in the photos.
Thank goodness for social media.
It's an album Jones remembered looking at growing up.
That's my dad and his best man.
Showing the special moments between her parents that started their family.
Yeah, my aunts and uncles were in her wedding.
Receiving the album was made even more special because now the people in those photos live on only in Jones's memories.
My mother and father passed away.
Jones lost her father 2 years ago this October, and her mother just this past August. She believes the album was mistakenly donated while she and her siblings were clearing out some of her mother's things.
I'm grateful to have it back. I feel like I have the happiest day of my parents' life right here in my hands.
While her parents might be gone now, Jones can always have that special piece of their special day to flip through and remember.
It's a treasure, and I get to look at it whenever I want to.
For WHAS 11 News, I'm Rose McBride.